In a quiet school, one teacher's unusual secret went unnoticed until a curious student uncovered the shocking truth. What happened next sent shockwaves through the entire community. If you're interested in this story, please watch this video to the end to find out how it all happened. When Ife, a young beautiful woman, accepted a teaching job at St. Andrew's Primary School in Amma community, she never imagined she would find herself in a classroom. After years of working at a bank, a sudden layoff left her jobless and struggling with a mysterious health condition that caused her breast to leak milk. Despite never having been pregnant, she needed a job not just for survival but to afford her medical treatment. When she saw the opening for a teaching position, she had no choice but to apply. It wasn't her passion, but it was a lifeline. Little did she know it would change her life in ways she never expected. On her first day, Evie was thrown into chaos. Her classroom was filled with noise, crying children, which required constant care. Changing diapers, wiping noses, feeding and cleaning up after them became her daily routine. Exhausted, she wondered how she could keep up with this relentless schedule, especially when every other class seemed so much quieter. But Ify soon realized there was a monthly reward system at the school. The best performing teacher would receive an award and a cash prize. Ify wanted that prize, but her classroom was a nightmare of noise and chaos. Then a brilliant idea struck her. What if her condition could be useful? What if she could feed the babies to calm them down? She tried it, and to her amazement, the babies calmed down. Soon fell asleep, others played quietly. It worked like magic. Ife's class became the quietest in the entire session, and her performance improved so drastically that she won the Best Teacher award month after month. But her secret remained hidden until one day a curious student named Kennedy began to suspect something. What was her secret? Why was Ife's class so quiet, so peaceful? Kennedy was determined to find out. The buzz around Ife's success didn't stop. Every month, her class grew quieter, more peaceful. Her colleagues watched, some with admiration, others with envy. Evie continued to win the Best Teacher award month after month, but she knew the whispers behind her back were growing louder. Kennedy, the curious student who had long suspected something was unusual, began paying close attention. He had always been a quiet child, observant and sharp. He noticed the way the babies in Ife's class were always so calm, unlike the other classrooms. They would eat quietly, play without fuss, and sleep like angels. One day after school, Kennedy stayed behind. His older brother, Anne, was already gone, and the school was emptied. Ify, exhausted as usual, was cleaning up the classroom when Kennedy approached her. "Teacher Ify," he said softly, his wide eyes studying her carefully. "I know something different about your class. It's always so quiet and the babies never cry. Why is that?" Ify froze, wiping her hands on the cloth. She hadn't expected anyone, especially a student, to notice. She quickly gathered her thoughts, trying to keep her secret safe, but Kennedy was persistent. "I'm not saying anything to anyone." "Teacher," Kennedy continued, "I just want to know, how do you do it? How do you make the babies so calm?" Ify looked around the room nervously, but Kennedy's earnest face made her feel a pang of guilt. She had kept her secret for so long. It had helped her succeed, but it was starting to feel like a burden. Taking a deep breath, she finally spoke. "Kennedy, promise me you won't tell anyone what I'm about to say." Kennedy nodded eagerly, his curiosity piqued. "If you promise, I'll tell you. The truth is, I feed them. I use my milk, the milk I've been producing, because of my health condition. It helps calm them down. It makes them feel safe and they stop crying. It's the only way I could get my class to be so peaceful. Kennedy's eye widened in disbelief. Wait, what? You feed them your milk? Ify nodded, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. Yes, I never planned for this to happen, but it works. The milk calms them down, and now they trust me more. They are not scared or they become fuzzy. They can just rest. Kennedy, in shock, took a few moments to process the truth. But aren't you worried people will find out? If they find out, I could lose my job if he said something, but I had to do something. I couldn't let these children suffer from all the noise and chaos. I just want to help them. Kennedy, still stunned, nodded slowly. He had learned more than he had bargained for, but he also saw how much Ify cared for her students. As if he started to clean up her things to leave, Kennedy said quietly, what happens when someone finds out? If he signed, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. But till then, I'll keep doing what I can do for the children. Kennedy didn't know what to say. He had never imagined such a shocking secret behind Ify's success. But as he walked home that day, one question gnawed at him. What will happen if others find out? It didn't take long for the quiet, curious and student Kennedy to grasp with the secret he had learned. Though he had promised Ify he wouldn't tell anyone, the weight of the revelation was too heavy for him to bear alone. Every day he watched her interact with the babies, feeding them and soothing them in ways no one else could. He wondered if she could keep up the act forever or if one day the truth would slip out. One afternoon, Kennedy found himself standing at the school gate with his best friend Jide. The two have been talking about the strange calm in Ife's classroom for weeks. They noticed the dramatic difference between her students and the others. The babies never cried, they slept peaceful and even played quietly. Kennedy had already made up his mind that it was time to share what he knew. Jide, Kennedy began, his voice low. There is something I have to tell you. It's about teacher Ife. Jide's eyes narrowed. What about her? She has been winning the best teacher award every month. Everyone's talking about how quiet her class is. Kennedy glanced around. I know her secret. She is not just feeding them regular milk. She is feeding them her own milk. Jide blinked in disbelief. What? Her milk? So you mean she has been using her milk to feed those babies? But why? Kennedy nodded slowly. Yes, it's her milk. She has been using it to calm them down. I don't know how she's been doing it, but it works. She says it helps them sleep, eat, and be calm. Jide's mouth hung open. That's crazy. I can't believe she's been keeping that a secret. What if someone finds out? Kennedy hesitated, unsure of what to say. I think it's just a matter of time before someone notices. I'm worried about what will happen if he gets out. The next day, as if he prepared for another day of teaching, she could sense that something was different. Her colleagues had been giving her strange looks, and a few whispered behind her back. It made her uneasy, but she didn't want to overthink it. After all, her method had been working. The children were calm, they weren't crying, and her reputation as the best teacher in the school was only growing stronger. However, her sense of unease only deepened when Mrs. Okoro, the head teacher, stopped by her classroom that afternoon. The older woman looked stern, her arms crossed as she surveyed the quiet children. Ify, I need to speak with you. There's been rumors about how you've been handling your class. People are starting to notice your class is always the quietest, but no one can figure it out. If his heart skipped a beat, she knew the rumors had finally reached the staff. I just sing to them. I make sure they have their food at the right time. Mrs. Okoro raised an eyebrow. Is that all? Because something is not adding up. Other teachers are asking how you do it. Some of them are suspicious. If his mind raced, she couldn't lie, but she also didn't want to admit the truth. Not to Mrs. Okoro, not to anyone. I just found a way to connect with them, she said, her voice flattering. They trust me, and that's why they're so calm. Miss Okoro nodded slowly, but her eyes narrowed as if she wasn't fully convinced. I'll be watching, Ify. Be careful. If any more rumors spread, you may find yourself explaining things in a way you don't want to. After the conversation with Mrs. Okoro, Ify felt the weight of her secret bearing down on her. She needed the money, she needed the job, but she didn't want the children to suffer. That evening, as if he milked herself once again to prepare for the next day, she wondered just how long she could keep the secret. She was beginning to feel the pressure mounting, and the fear of being exposed was starting to take her. And Mrs. Nwachukwu had dropped her child off early that morning and seen something she shouldn't have. She has caught a glimpse of Ify in the act, feeding one of the babies during recess. The question was soon to follow. What? The next morning was the air was thick and tension as if he arrived at school, feeling the weight of the previous night's thought. She had tried to prepare herself for the stuff that was coming. As if he entered the staff room, the whispers intensified. Every teacher seemed to be exchanging glasses, and even the principal, Mr. Johnson, greeted her with a tight smile that made her stomach churn. It wasn't long before Mrs. Nwachukwu, the parent, who had seen Ify feeding the baby during recess, approached her with a stern look on her face. Ify, Mrs. Nwachukwu began, we need to talk. Ify's heart skipped. She forced herself to keep her composure, but her mind raced. I don't know what you mean, Mrs. Nwachukwu, Ify replied, trying to calm herself when Mrs. Nwachukwu asked her the question. I saw you yesterday feeding my child during recess. That's not normal, Ify, Mrs. Nwachukwu said. I am not the only one here who has noticed things. Other parents are beginning to talk. People want answers. Ify's face flushed with panic. The secret she had been so careful to keep hidden now came out in the open. What will she do? I didn't mean for it to go this far if he stammered. I just wanted to calm the children down. They were crying all the time and nothing seemed to work. Mrs. Nwachukwu crossed her arms, calming them down by feeding them your milk. That's not something a teacher should be doing. You've crossed the line, Ify, and I'm not the only one who's upset about it. Before Ify could respond, the door to the staff room swung open and Mrs. Okoro, the head teacher, walked in. Her expression was stern, and her eyes scanning the room before resting on Ify. Ify, I've been hearing disturbing things, Miss Okoro said. We need to have a serious discussion now. After making her confession known to Mrs. Okoro, Mrs. Okoro was turned at the information she just got. The next day, Ify was summoned to a meeting with the school board. Her future at St. Andrew's Primary School was now hanging in the balance. As she walked through the crowded hallways, she felt the weight of every gaze on her, whispers and side glances following her every step. At the boardroom, Mr. Johnson, the principal, was the first to speak. Ify, we've reviewed the situation and we need to make a decision about your future here at St. Andrew's Primary. You've broken the trust of the parents, the students, and the staff. What you did, no matter your intention, has caused significant distress, but we understand that you didn't do it maliciously. Mrs. Okoro, the head teacher, added, we're trying to help, but what you did was not acceptable. It's a violation of teacher-student boundaries, and it could have caused irreparable harm. I am truly, truly sorry, Ify began, her voice shaky. I know what I did was wrong. I didn't know what else to do. I thought I was helping, but I can see now how it was a mistake. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I just wanted peace in my classroom and to do my job the best I could. But I understand why this is a problem, and I'm willing to take responsibility for my actions. There was a long pause at the board members as the board members exchanged glances. Ify's stomach churned. She had never felt more vulnerable in her life. Finally, Mr. Johnson spoke. We have decided that you will receive a temporary suspension, effective immediately, while we investigate the situation further. During this time, you will not be allowed to teach, and we will meet with the parents to discuss what we way to move forward. We will also recommend additional training for you in professional boundaries and ethical teaching practices. If he nodded as she accepted her fate and left the meeting,